Bring the DACA and bring the Flash Gitz. Today on WAAAGH Tactics, we're going to talk about Flash Gitz, tips and tricks on how and why to use them. Before we get into it, let's talk about today's sponsors, Baron of Dice. Baron of Dice do help us sponsor our paint competition. We do love Baron of Dice. 5% discount in the description because nobody likes taxes. Love Baron of Dice for their kind of matte finish. Very good texture to the dice. I very much suggest you get them. Let's get back into the video. So Flash Gitz, bring the DACA you gets. Today we're going to talk about how Flash Gitz stand alone. So Flash Gitz are the only, we'll say, elite powerful infantry unit that brings such good combined arms to the orc faction. Now there are other arm units such as, let's say, Burner Boys that attempt to do it, but considering that Flash Gitz are knob profiles, as in they have a 4-up armor save, 2 wounds, T5, they reflect a knob in that way. You can consider them as much more bulky than a typical boy, right? And the fact that they are sitting at strength 5 base in melee, as well as strength 6 in their shooting, means that they do look a bit more like what orcs would consider elite infantry, even though they do only set at 80 points. They bring this great combined arms that, even though they lack keywords for other benefits and detachments, they do great as they are. So great combined arms. Having that strength 6 shooting at 24-inch range at volume, including the datasheet ability that gives even more volume, access to sustain and lethal, which is an ideal combo for any unit in 40k. Having sustain and lethal are the rules that get you over the top for S tier type army and datasheets. So the fact that this has both is amazing. But the strength 6 plus sustain and lethal is, I break so many pretty much break points for data sheets and stat wise, as in strength 6 gets you against T11, so where you're still wounding on 5, so you have something to go into. Strength damage 2 means you can go into 2 wound units infantry and really blow them away. The fact that a strength 6 means you can take away T3 models very effectively just by landing hits on them. The fact that they're built in sustain for that turn, you can pop lethal if you're ever trying to chip something, right? The fact that it's great for killing chaff, killing marines, but also chipping, that you have sustain and lethal on there, is an amazing ability for just a basic data sheet all around. And last but not least, proper point costed unit, and it's properly point costed for also a SWAT team. So this is an ideal SWAT team unit, as you love your SWAT team units to be versatile. That way that they can take on multiple situations, even though they're just an independent unit kind of running around trying to get stuff done. So SWAT teams are what we're going to talk about next. So combos and ways to use the Gitz. So starting off with SWAT teams. Everybody should know SWAT teams are, but if you don't, it's pretty much taking 2 orc infantry units, sticking them in a transport, and having the versatility of marking them at different times or together. Having that versatility in different profiles and killing different units. Like I said before, the fact that Flash Gitz are great into anything pretty much with a 3-up armor save or T2 in volume, multiple wound infantry is pretty great. But they also go really good with either 5-man knobs with the war boss, or they go good with 2 mega knobs and the war boss, because that can still fit in a truck. So that being said, these are fun transport units. SWAT teams, great for Flash Gitz. But another thing that people always ask me about is, what about a 10-man unit of Flash Gitz with a truck and a mech on the outside? The mech ability says that it gives +1 to the unit at the end of the movement. Therefore, yes, you can move the truck, disembark the mech. That mech turns around, stabs the truck, and gives it +1 to hit. That way, when you're using the firing deck ability, that truck can use the Flash Gitz guns to shoot down range and be hitting on 4 pluses. And you do still get the sustainability. Of course, you cannot pop lethals in that case, but you can get the truck to kind of act as a bunker firing platform for that reason. Very cool, very possible, and totally within the parameters of the rules based off how the rules are worded, right? This also allows people to get 2 shooting actions out of your 10-man units of Flash Gitz. A lot of the time people want to shoot them more than once. There's a great way for you to shoot them twice and truck and the mech can run around doing actions. Once your Flash Gitz go run around and get stuck in, you know. Next is 10 by 5 by 5 or more, meaning if you're using a 10-man unit, then 2 5-man units, or you're using anything greater than 20 Flash Gitz models on the battlefield, how do you really want to use these, go around the battlefield with these? Of course, there's always the option of trucks or battle wagons, but in reality, Flash Gitz are excellent reserve units. So even if you're taking 30, you can take the majority, if not all of those Flash Gitz, and place them in strategic reserves, really push a flank so you can come off the battlefield edge and blow something away, set up a firing lane so that you can consider maybe the next point, Overwatch. Now, Overwatch is very circumstantial, right? As in, a lot of the time you're going to have other units and stratagems that you really, really want to use as an orc player, especially in a lot of these different detachments that we have. Overwatch really comes down to, am I shooting something that's T3 that I get a lot of, you know, efficiency out of if I just land one hit on them because I'm more likely to wound them? Or is this such a detrimental unit that I have to try to engage with it and try to kill it, like an Eldar transport where you're trying to finish it off after you shot it once or something, right? Other than that, I don't really suggest it. When you're running the 10 by 5 or 5 Flash Gitz, I think that's the ideal way to run them, and they can go into a lot of different detachments at this point. Meaning, if you're running 20 Flash Gitz and you run a 10-man unit and 2 5-man units, that's ideal, because then you can make multiple SWAT teams for them, and then you have one unit that's good for throttling your stratagems on, or just jumping in from the battlefield edge on. And of course, last but not least, the fact that they can chip damage anything that's T11 and that's sitting with a 3-up armor saves makes them a tool and versatility in themselves. So don't be scared to use your Flash Gitz to pretty much hurt stuff, and take them into consideration when you're hurting anything that's T11 with just a straight up 3-up armor save. Some notes from the hobby, because it's not all about the competition, is Flash Gitz are awesome for the bits. So if you've never bought a box of Flash Gitz, just know that they come with a bunch of banners. They come with extra guns and sluggas, bullets, and all this different cool kind of stuff in Gitz, different heads. Very much something that I suggest you getting if you're a new orc player, that we have more bits that actually stand out, especially if you want to make your guides look a little extra fancy. Very cool models, so they're great for a collection. They stand out. They sit on 40 mil bases, so they're actually kind of big. The fact that they have huge guns and they have their choppas because they like to get stuck in with their great volume of punches, you know, sitting at 5 attacks at strength 5 on the wall, or strength 6 on the wall, excuse me. It's amazing. You know, so that reflects in how the model actually looks. You know, the guy looks pretty swole, and they have a lot of their choppas as well as their gun. And of course, a single box goes a long way, as in, even though they're 80 points currently in the game, the fact that they're not super reliant on characters, the fact that they're good for SWAT teams, the fact that they're good as a big unit if you get multiple boxes, one box, but say you're playing a small game, they can play a small game really well. Flash Gitz are versatile, not only on the battlefield, but per point and per dollar in your pocket. So I definitely suggest getting out there and getting using the Flash Gitz, because it's all about getting stuck inland. But of course, orcs love the DACA. So sometimes it's okay to be a flashy, but there's one thing to keep in mind: don't cross our wall, because we'll knock your teeth out. Whoa. If you enjoyed the clip, check out the full video here. If you'd like to see more tactics, click here.
Let's get stuck in, lads!